Ever feel the urge to just quit the grind and get out of the performance trap that's been destroying your life? If you feel this way, you're probably trapped in an endless cycle where you trade your freedom for more obligations, pressure, and success that doesn't even feel like success. It's almost like someone else has their hands controlling your levers, making you work and be productive relentlessly. And these hands, they're not people. They're forces that control your behavior. And the truth is that there are 3 invisible hands controlling you right now, chipping away your time, relationships, and freedom. In this clip, I'll expose the hands that are controlling you, rip their grips off you, and put the controls right back in your hands. The first invisible hand is your personality traits. Your personality patterns isn't random. Powerful forces have been shaping you your entire life. The first is genetics. Some parts of your personality traits came straight from your parents. Your emotional intensity, your confidence baseline, your sensitivity. Some parts of who you are, you inherited them. Next is your environment. Your home, friend groups, cultural environment taught you what to express, what to suppress, what's normal and what's not. Another factor are your choices and habits. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are. Your interests, routines, and goals all reinforce the personality traits you carry today. And lastly is your biological factors. Your biological wirings and hormone baseline decides how you naturally feel. And according to the Big 5 personality model, all these factors shape you to have either high or low natural reaction to things across 5 areas. And these 5 areas control your career, your love life, your anxiety, even how you argue. The first area is agreeableness. So your genetics, environment, choices and habits, and biological factors will shape you to have either high or low levels of agreeableness. High means you easily agree with people. You like to avoid conflict and you prefer to keep the peace and harmony. Low means you're stubborn and you don't easily agree with people. You stand your ground, even at the expense of other people's feelings. The next trait is extroversion. Extroversion is positive emotionality. High means you're enthusiastic, fun-loving, and you take initiative. Low means your default emotion isn't joy or happiness, and you're not as assertive. The next trait is neuroticism. Neuroticism is negative emotionality. High means high levels of anxiety and emotional volatility. You easily get upset or irritated. Low means you're emotionally stable, and stress hits you softer. The next trait is conscientiousness. Conscientiousness simplified is your level of discipline. High means you're disciplined and hardworking. You plan things ahead and you follow through consistently. Low means you're not as organized and disciplined, and you don't follow through with your commitments as much. And the last trait is openness. Openness is your level of curiosity towards new ideas and experiences. High means you enjoy philosophical discussions and exploring new ideas. Low means you prefer the straightforward and the practical, and you're less drawn to complex ideas. And the trait that correlates the most with your job is conscientiousness. People being controlled by their personality trait regarding work usually have high levels of conscientiousness. What does that mean? You're naturally responsible and hardworking. You feel the weight of the job placed on you, so you want to deliver results. Now imagine in a group setting. You stand as a few people with high conscientiousness surrounded by people with low conscientiousness. What does that mean? People with low conscientiousness don't feel the weight of the job and responsibility placed on them as much as you. So they take their performance and responsibility less seriously. So what happens? Where does the workload shift to? It's you by default. And because of your personality trait, doing less feels wrong. Even though it's supposed to be shared responsibility, when people around you drop the ball, you still feel responsible. So you pick it up and carry more, even though it's not your job. So the first invisible hand controlling you is your personality trait. The second invisible hand is self-worth and identity issues. Here's how you know you're being controlled by this hand. You're addicted to working and being productive. When you don't work or when you're not being productive, you feel bad. You might start seeing yourself as useless or not valuable unless you create output. So you have the impulse to work all the time, even when you should be resting. The positive side, you become an achiever. You're competent, you deliver results, and the people around you recognize you for it. The downside is burnout. You can't rest or shut down. Your mental health takes a hit. And worst of all, is relationship collapse. If you have a partner, your love life pays the price. So the philosophical question is If this unhealthy drive pushes you towards big achievements, but destroys your life in the process, can you achieve high-level success without all the baggage? To illustrate this tension, I think this image gives a clear picture. This is an image of a person without any drive. So they either have no battery in the tank or have minimum gas. So what's the result in this person's life? Probably not much. They probably coast by or live a life without meaning or passion. And this is an image of a person with drive. You have massive gas in the tank. You're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve your goal. Now what's the result in this person's life? You're competent. The people around you trust you. And you have occupational success. But here's the reality. Your feel, the things that are driving you aren't all good. The realistic picture is either this or this. So you either have good feel mixed in with the bad, or the majority of the things that are driving you are bad. So what's good feel? Good feel are the things that drive you that comes from a healthy place that would have positive impact on your life. For example, responsibility. You're aware of the things that you have to care for in life, therefore you work hard. That's a very healthy and noble reason. Another example, you have a natural innate hunger within you. You have the spirit of competition. You love to compete and win. So that's just naturally who you are. Another example, joy. You do things because it makes you happy. And the more you work, the happier you become. Or even a healthy level of fear. You're aware of the risk factors in your life, therefore you work hard to protect your home. Those are all good feel. The bad feel are the things that drive you that are destructive, like anxiety, rage, ego, revenge, or what we're talking about right now, self-worth and identity issues. And the difference between achieving things with positive, healthy feel versus bad, destructive ones is the self-reinforcing cycle. Let me explain. So whatever gains you success in life, you're prone to adapt that approach because it gave you the results. So the mindset, the lifestyle, the habits you repeat, the emotions you use to push yourself, and the way you treat people around you, all these things gave you the results you have. So if you gain results by unhealthy means, like overworking, sacrificing relationships, being ego-driven and not caring about people, you'll probably repeat all these habits because it gave you the results, the achievements, thus the self-reinforcing cycle. So the goal is to switch out the bad feel for good ones and create a positive reinforced cycle instead. This next framework should help you switch out the bad feel for good ones, as well as remove the first two invisible hands controlling you, which are your personality trait and self-worth and identity issue. Let's get into it. So one major root cause for unhealthy reinforced cycle is a person's priority. For most people, their number one priority is their job and success. So by this hierarchy, everything beneath their job and success can always be compromised. Now let me explain why having success as the number one priority can be unhealthy. First, it's because success is endless. It never finishes. When you finish one job, there's always another waiting. So there will always be tasks demanding your time. So in that sense, everything else will always come second. You will always be trading your peace, health, sleep, family time, and hobbies for success. That's the first reason. The second is because success has no built-in limits. There's no endpoint where a person who prioritizes success says, that's enough. You can stop now. Go and enjoy your life. The moment you hit one goal, another appears. When you make the amount of money you've always wanted, you'd want more. That's why people who reach the top of the mountain often feels empty. They thought the peak was the finish line, the place where fulfillment comes. But when they finally get there, fulfillment isn't there. Fulfillment was in the things they sacrificed along the way. Connection with loved ones, spiritual growth, physical health, hobbies and recreational time. That's the second reason. And the third is because success in the practical sense does not care about you. It cares about numbers. The KPI isn't your health, relationships, or level of joy. The KPI for success is numbers, stats, amount, and output. So in order to generate these KPIs, the formula is to give up more time and sacrifice more boundaries. So if success is your number one priority, the measuring matrix will always cost you the things that fulfill you. So these are the reasons why success shouldn't be your number one priority. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't sacrifice some things in life in order to get the things you want. There's massive value in hard work, being disciplined, and pushing yourself. But when success sits on the throne of your life and governs every move you make, you become a racehorse. You run compulsively with blinders on, without seeing the things or people around you. You're not a racehorse. You're a living human being. So the question is, what should be our number one priority instead of success? The thing that will structure the rest of our life in a healthy way. So obviously, it's different for everyone. But in its simplest form, I would say it comes down to two things working together. That's character and rational judgment. Let me explain. So I once met a finance guy who made huge money, but he looked stressed and guilty all the time. Then one day, my friend asked him, is what you're doing moving you closer to becoming a person of character or farther away? Then a light bulb went on in his head. He answered, farther away. I think if you view life through that frame, a lot of things becomes more clear. Like in my early 20s, I worked in sales and I'd sacrificed my relationship for work. I did really good, but the cost was my health, sleep, and connection with my girlfriend. So if I had to ask myself back then, is what I'm doing, which include the specific mindset and my approach to life back then, moving me closer to becoming a person of character or further away? The answer is as clear as day. Further away. It was destructive as hell. That's the character part. Now the rational judgment part is this. You can't live life with one singular approach forever because things move and change. Life works in seasons. There'll be time for war and a time for peace, a time to work hard and a time to rest. That's where rational judgment comes in. Having rational judgment helps you navigate the seasons in life. Sometimes a period of your life will demand huge sacrifice for work, but having rational judgment tells you you can't stay there forever because the long-term cost is too high. So having rational judgment helps you recognize the season you're in, choosing the right course of action, and having awareness of the long-term cost. That way, you'll plan a way out and won't get stuck in a cycle that destroys your life. So when character working with rational judgment becomes your number one focus instead of success, you'd have an inner compass that structures the rest of your life. And the third force controlling your life is financial dependency. If you're not financially free yet, here's a framework that can move you towards financial independence. The way I look at wealth is that there are 4 financial skill sets that contributes to you being financially free. The first is high income skill sets. This includes your job. Basically anything you can do where you can trade your skill and time for medium to high income. Next is business. Business skills simplify is the ability to build systems and process inside an operation that makes money. This can include people, workflow, software, or AI. Next is investing. Investing is buying assets that generates return or appreciates over time. And there are so many assets and ways to invest in that there's a strategy for everyone. You can invest in what you know, buy dividend stocks for annual returns, or distribute money into 2 or 3 assets every month. That's investing. And the last skill set is money management. In its simplest terms, is be smart with money. Don't overspend. If you have debt, research and build a get out of debt strategy and have a system for allocating money every month. The most common is have multiple bank accounts for different purposes. That way, you don't overspend and your money is put to good use. So the first 3 skills is how you make money. And the beauty is that you don't need to learn and be good at all 3. You can look at what you're good at, double down on that, and develop the skills that will make the biggest difference in your life. For example, my skill sets are probably these. So which skill sets, if developed, would make the biggest impact on my life? So I don't need to be a high-level business operator. And my natural inclination is not toward building process and business to scale anyway. But developing my business acumen just enough so my ventures run consistently helps. So I develop that. Then I double down on investing. I look for more opportunities to deploy more capital. Or if you have a high income skill set and you can make more money by accepting more work, you can start there and learn investing on the side. You don't need to be like anyone else. Be you. Know where you're operating from, know your strengths, and develop the skill sets you need strategically. That being said, I do believe there are fundamental guidelines that will help. First, you do need to make decent amount of money. whether it's through high income skills, business, or investing. If you still lack some of these skills, don't worry. Just take the time to learn and develop them. Second, it doesn't matter how you make money, but you do need high money management skills and an investing strategy. The money management skills keeps emotional spending in check and also control where your money goes. As for investing, you don't need to be a high-level investor, but you do need an investing strategy to create assets. That way, the more assets you have, the more income they generate for you over time. And you move from being financially dependent on your job to being financially free because you have assets. Hi guys, my name is Han. This is a new channel. If you like my content, please subscribe.